need these supplies. You need our map from yesterday. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes or so to finish that and finalize that. You can see the map is on the board up here as well. So you can finish that up. I didn't want to assign that last night as homework. You guys know me, I don't like to assign Monday night homework. We can spend time with your family. Obviously you get your homework on Wednesdays and Fridays in here. So after you finish up your map work, review it, and then we're going to get into the Sumerian civilization. I have some key questions for you to answer. Now, those key questions will be put right up here on the screen. You will write those questions in your binder, and then you're going to use this handout or this resource to answer them. And for those of you joining us online, you will find this resource linked or also put onto attached to the video of this lesson as well. So you just simply read through the material about the Sumerians and you answer your 5 key questions in your binder. So we'll do that as classwork. Then what I'll do is we'll turn the video back on and we'll review those questions to ensure that everyone got them and has them in their binder, because you'll need that for upcoming quizzes and tests and things of that nature. So your next quiz is coming up on Thursday in here. So you will have a quiz over the Sumerians on Thursday. And then your test, I have not scheduled your test yet, okay? So I don't know exactly when that test will be. Just to remind everyone, this Thursday you do have an honors assignment due. So if you are an honors student, remember to check that out. I've reminded you from time to time. Make sure to check it out in Google Classroom. You look under the honors student section. You read an article by Dr. Morris. Thank you. Good job. So you read the article by Dr. Morris and you respond to some select questions. So if you're an honor student, make sure you do that. Have that completed and ready to turn in on what day?
Thursday.
Thursday.
Do you want us to turn it in online or to?
Either way. I'll take it either way. Online or in person. Yes?
Is the quiz on Thursday open notes?
Nope, it will not be open notes. Okay, so that's why we need to make sure we're doing well in today's class and getting all the answers to our key questions, right? All right. Yes?
You can't see the map. I guess it's good.
Yes, what I'll do is after I explain this, I'll pull the screen down so you can see the map much more clearly. Great point, thank you. All right, so like I said, we'll do our map work first. I'll give you about 8 to 10 minutes or so to finish that up. Once I see you're finishing, then we'll move into the Sumerian civilization. I'll give you 5 key questions to answer there, using your handout to do so. Then we'll come back and review it, ensuring that we all have good answers in our binders. And then I'll introduce you to tomorrow's homework.
Okay.
All right. Yes?
Do you happen to have an extra empty map?
I do. In fact, I ran some extra copies off just in case.
For you.
All right. And for those of you online, you can get the map. It is attached in Google Classroom as well. All right, so let's transition and switch gears. So at this point, everyone should have filled in their map and labeled all their different features, both their physical features and political features, so that should all be filled in. Now notice you did have some questions on the bottom, didn't you? So let's just review those real quickly. This shouldn't take much time. Question number 1 says, which physical feature south of Mesopotamia, so south of the Fertile Crescent, would discourage human settlement? All right, back here in the very back. Yes?
It doesn't have any water.
Right, no water, it's arid, it's dry. So this desert down here, the Arabian desert, would discourage any expanding population, wouldn't it? So that's why everyone's stuck close to the rivers. All right, now then how does the name Mesopotamia represent the region? I kind of shared the answer for this one already, didn't I? The word Mesopotamia comes from what culture? The Greeks, right. And the Greeks call the Fertile Crescent Mesopotamia. Now the term Mesopotamia literally means between 2 rivers, which is very fitting, right? Because it is mainly between these 2 rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. All right, so question number 3. What major similarity do you see between the region of Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt? In other words, why did people settle there? Why did populations boom?
They both have major rivers and water sources.
Exactly. So the major riverways provided that fresh water that they needed for survival, right? The population. All right, number 4, Mesopotamia was the world's first great civilization. How can this statement be supported biblically? Okay, right here.
So I said that yes, this is true because this is the Bible has the Tower of Babel,
Mhm.
where all of people groups were together and then they got split apart because of the languages. And
Right.
Babylon is placed inside Mesopotamia, to where that's where everyone was at that time before they all spread out.
Right, exactly. So right after the flood, we had Noah and the ark somewhere up here in the mountains, right? Obviously, they come out of that, settle here in the Fertile Crescent. It's a nice, wonderful, lush place. The old Garden of Eden was here, right? Ironically, the Persian Gulf, they think, used to come up here closer to Ur. That's the nation of modern-day Kuwait. Kuwait is famous for having the world's largest oil supply. You think about it, this used to be the Garden of Eden. Human population was high, and then we had the worldwide flood. Would it make sense for all that vegetation, population to be moved to the lowest point and then covered up and turned into oil fields? Makes sense, doesn't it? So, it's a hypothesis, but it certainly makes sense. All right, now then, let's switch gears here. And let's head to our binders. And in your binders, let's make a brand new, a title. Let's stick with the same title, the Sumerians.
Are we turning this into you or just?
Oh, your map is yours to keep. In fact, I would recommend you place that in your binder because you'll be going back to it, using it as a reference throughout the class. I have 5 questions for you to answer in your binders. We're going to do this under the same title, the Sumerians. Well, let's go ahead and write our 5 questions down now. And then what I'm going to do is supply you with some literature. You're going to use the literature, use the text to answer these 5 questions. And like I said, if you're joining us online, you can find this attached alongside our video for the day. So our 5 questions are written up here on the board. You have number 1, list the names and meanings of the land of the Sumerians. Well, you guys already know a few of those. We're going to add in some more. Number 2, list Sumerian advances in technology. How did they advance in diverse areas? So you can list that based on the reading. Also number 3, I skipped number 3. What is cunis? Cunis is a term, and it sounds kind of like a word you've already discovered. Cuneiform, yes, you got it. So what is the connection there between cunis and cuneiform? Okay? You'll find that in the literature. Also, what were schools called back then? And who in the world was Sir Leonard Woolley? So you go ahead and get those in your notes. And as you're writing your questions down, I'll bring the literature around for you, and you can go ahead and get started. You may quietly work on your own if you prefer, or you may work together and help each other out. All right, you guys are working very well, very quickly, and very efficiently, so congratulations on that. What we'll do is we will kind of recap these 5 questions here to see what you discovered. So, let's see here. To begin with, you were to answer the question about names. Names for this region. So really there are 3 that you need to know for upcoming quizzes and tests. So what 3 names did you come up with? Hadley, can you give us one?
Yes. I came up with the creator civilization.
Okay, so the cradle of civilization, right? That's one. All right, thank you, Hadley. What about, Caitlin, what did you come up with?
Mesopotamia.
Yes, Mesopotamia. Now, Mesopotamia is a term that comes from what culture?
Greek, which means between 2 rivers.
Exactly. So the Greeks gave us the term Mesopotamia, which means between 2 rivers. You do need to know that. And then there's a third. third that's also on the screen as well. Lexi, what's the third? Bless you.
Please. The Fertile Crescent.
Yes, the Fertile Crescent. So you should have all three.
Do you want us to know why they're named that, like, Fertile Crescent? Because it was, like, rich, luscious land?
Yes, please. Yes, know why the Fertile Crescent is the name. It's because it's along the rivers, it's fertile ground.
The cradle of civilization, isn't it just they have signs of man existed there?
Basically, after the worldwide flood, it's where mankind repopulated, right? So we call it the cradle of civilization because of such mass population of mankind. Okay, great question. Number 2, you were to list advances in technology. Wow, there are a lot of answers you could have here. Let's make sure that we have all of these in our notes. So advances, they built large cities. Sumer was the largest. Was about the second largest, and that is also where Abraham or Abram is from. Nineveh was a large one as well. Nineveh is one of the more ancient cities, and of course it's in God's Word. Yes, please make sure this is included in your answers, okay?
Like the cities you need to know?
Yes, that they were city builders. They also had forms of government within those cities. So government came about.
She means like, do we have to write down the
Summer
cities?
or Nineveh?
You will need to be able to place these on a map. So as long as they're on your map, that's what we're looking at in the future. All right, so government obviously developed around those cities as well. They designed irrigation systems. Did you notice in the reading they actually had plumbing?
Yeah.
Pretty impressive, huh?
I had water.
Now the irrigation systems that they designed, you can see kind of a picture of what that may have looked like. Using the rivers, they irrigated their croplands. Now, they become experts in farming because of this irrigation system. But not only that, some people specialized in agriculture, but others chose to specialize in other areas, like maybe working with metals, or maybe specializing in certain crafts. So, with the development of agriculture and craftsmanship, trade developed. Now, obviously, early on, they're all going to be gathered in around this area. But after the Tower of Babel, remember, mankind spread out. So after that spreading out of people, trade existed, and trade continued, and they could trade their excess agriculture and crops. They could trade their specialized craftsmanship. You can see this lovely little figure here. All their little figures, these little terracotta clay figures, always had large beady eyes.
Why is it Terra statue?
Terra stands for earth, terracotta.
Yeah.
So
Why is
they were all made out of earth or clay. They did a lot of work in clay. And you can see the clay tablets.
Kind of marble because it's like wood.
Yeah. The clay tablets used for cuneiform. They had the clay figures. They also had the ziggurats, which you learned about previously, right? Ziggurats, they also used clay. Remember, they used the clay bricks that were sun-dried on the interior, and the exterior they actually put them in kilns and burned them and made them more solid with the ovens. So a lot of work in clay. In fact, on Thursday, I'm going to give you an opportunity to work with some clay. Have a little fun, a little hands-on clay work in here. All right. Obviously, cuneiform was huge, wasn't it? Cuneiform came about. At first, it was pictorial. Then it turned into an actual entire language with many, many letters. A lot more letters than we have.
600 letters.
Yes, that's a lot of letters to memorize. It's thought that they invented the wheel, although we're not 100% sure, but it's thought that they invented the wheel. Also, in clay work, they used the potter's wheel. So that's where the potter's wheel came about. And of course, you guys learned about the large ziggurats as well, didn't you? Now, then your third question is, what is cunis? What in the world? Cunis, what in the world is that referring to, Sadie?
It means wedge.
It does mean wedge, doesn't it? In Latin, it means wedge. And we call cuneiform cuna because it comes from this word meaning wedge. The letters look very wedgy. In fact, what they would do is they would take what looks like a chopstick. You have the pointy end and then you have the flat end, right? They would take like the flat end to use to write their cuneiform letters. This here, remember this fellow? Utnapishtim?
Is that how you spell it?
Yep. this is what his name looks like in cuneiform.
Could you imagine having a spider name?
Take a while to write your name, wouldn't it?
It looks like
Alright.
a fish.
Now then, what were
That's just like a
schools?
fish with a
What were
beard.
the schools called back in those days? Hmm?
Tablet houses or
Yes. So the tablet houses were at Duba. So make sure you have that in your answers as well. You got it.
Do we need to have like the tablet word thing?
Know that Eduba represents or means tablet houses. Okay. And then, of course, your last question to answer is who in the world was Sir Leonard Woodley? Who in the world was this guy? Max?
He found the ancient royal tombs and ziggurats in the early 1900s.
Absolutely. He was crucial in discovering this civilization. In fact, he went down to Abraham's hometown, hoping to find evidence of Abraham. And he ends up finding all this plethora of stuff. So he finds the royal tombs of Ur. And here are some samples and examples of what he found. So you can see royalty represented. You can see helmets
With ears?
with ears. You can see this is actually, these statues represent Noah and his wife. Notice the terracotta statues always have those big, kind of creepy eyes, don't they? You may get a chance to make your own terracotta creepy eye figure on Thursday.
I can do that.
And of course, a lot of animal worship as well going on with worshiping idols. All right. Now then, let's look at tomorrow's homework just real quickly because class is about to end. But tomorrow, all you need to do is read chapter 11 of Genesis. What chapter?
11.
That deals with the Tower of Babel. So you read about the Tower of Babel and that event, and then you answer 5 questions. Those 5 questions are posted on your Google Classroom account. All right, honor students, you also have something else due on Thursday, don't you? Ah,
5 questions.
yes. So honor students, make sure you read the article or the lecture by the doctor that's posted online for you, and then respond to those questions as well. So honor students, that's due on Thursday. All right, any questions?